So let's start with the Irish for stock
Yeah.
down, because again, Marcus Freeman has now had a few of these. Marshall. A lot of people have been bringing up the Stanford loss when there was no reason to lose to Stanford. Like some of these clunkers that you would think Notre Dame would be past with a third-year head coach. Where do the Irish go from here? And are there signs of life with this offense and Riley Leonard? Like, can they turn this around and become an offense that can sustain drives, actually score touchdowns, actually throw touchdowns?
Yeah, I'll start with this point, and I'll throw Penn State in this category as well for their performance over the weekend. But I do think that there is this idea that happens where you go on the road for your first game, and it's a big game, and you end up winning. And you come back to campus where everything is now comfortable, and everybody's telling you you've got it figured out. You're making the college football playoff. You're a national championship contender. They're kissing your butt as you're walking around campus. You know, coaching doesn't feel like it's as hard. You don't have to be as hard on your team because you know that they can get the big win. And you have an opponent that's coming in that you think is there just to collect the check. You don't actually believe that they're there to try to win a football game, and they smack you in the mouth. And I think that is a part of what happened for Notre Dame this weekend. But there are bigger issues here. As I started to watch the tape back, and I felt this way on Saturday, but the further I've gotten away from that game, the more I believe this. There were a lot of people like, oh, Notre Dame defense, it gave up too many big plays, whatever. No, if you can hold a team to 16 points, and in particular a MAC team to 16 points, you're going to win the football game. You should be able to win the football game, right? I don't think their defense played that bad. The one big pass that went for a touchdown was actually a broken play on the offense, and it's not something you can really anticipate or account for defensively. The run game, there were some issues. It was mostly guys jumping in and out of gaps. It's not like they were getting blown off of the ball and bullied around. I thought the defense played fine. This offense is a real issue. Riley Leonard struggles to throw the football, particularly down the field. It is a problem that they have to get figured out because they need to stretch a field at some point. But the biggest issue offensively to me is they don't have enough concepts in the pass game that are run game influenced. What I'm talking about, play action passing. You've got two really good backs in Love and Price. You have to make sure that they are always a threat to the defense in RPOs. With Riley Leonard as a guy who is mobile, they can really triple option from the quarterback position. We saw Ohio State do it over the weekend, but what I'm talking about is you have the run option, then you put your quarterback on the move, and he can either keep the ball or he can throw it out into the flats, throw the hitch, whatever the case is. They need to make that a part of their offense because Riley Leonard is most dangerous when his legs are at play. But I don't think it should be quarterback powers because the dude is injury prone. He's dealing with the shoulder injury right now.
Right.
You need to have it as he can be an option to run, but his legs need to be a threat to the defense in the pass game as well.
Okay, so like, do you believe that they can do this? Is this something that we need to see this week? I mean, there's already the fan base calling for a quarterback change or at least something different. But Marcus Freeman, everyone's been adamant. Riley Leonard's the quarterback. But I do think we needed to see some of those changes, those adjustments, the emphasis on the run game and the threat of the run game to make this look different.
If they wanted Angeli to be the quarterback, they wouldn't have paid $1 million to a guy in the transfer portal. So let's be perfectly clear about that. And I also think politics come into play as well. When you did pay a guy that much, he kind of has to be your quarterback until it is like fully apparent that he's not. Yes, it's something they can do. I just need to see them do it, right? And these are adjustments they'll have to make if it's not already in the game plan. But I think the best thing to help this offense is RPOs and play actions.
Yeah. Absolutely. Another team that is really reeling also needs to show some signs of life offensively and show that the quarterback play, the offensive line play, that these things can improve over the course of the season. I don't know. Do they have the personnel to do it? We'll see. Is Michigan. Michigan is coming off of a loss to Texas that, again, I think a lot of us thought they would lose to the Longhorns. I do think we thought, even with all the personnel losses and the coaching losses, that they would have a great defense and they would be able to run the ball. Now, they are struggling with the new offensive line. They're struggling with the quarterback. They're struggling to run the ball or sustain drives, which means that your great defensive players are on the field a long time. Also, maybe there's not as many of them on the field at once as there have been in years past. Right. But again, like, they're on the field all the time. So you just got some issues for Michigan where I don't know from a personnel standpoint if they're going to be able to fix them entirely in season. But I do think this loss, the way that it basically wasn't a game very early, became very apparent which team was controlling the game, which wasn't at the line of scrimmage. I think what it does is you're looking at like a 4-loss Michigan team. I think it completely changes the outlook for all of those challenging games that Michigan has on their schedule the rest of the way.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing too. Like I think the biggest positive for Michigan is all of their pimples were revealed in that game, because you can go through some of these games as well where, Texas plays real sloppy and they play below what they actually are, and the score is much closer than what the teams actually are in their distance. And it allows you to maybe mask some of your issues. All their issues were exposed. I am a Davis Warren defender. I'll start right there. And the more that I've watched that game tape, the more I think that he's dealing with a lot of issues that aren't his own. Especially when they had to get into pass mode toward the end, when the margin started blowing out. I like the way he navigated the pocket. I actually think he's got a pretty talented arm. The issue is the offensive line is atrocious at this point. The center position is a real problem, and they've been blessed with really good centers over the last couple of years, like guys who were some of the best in the country. And the right tackle position is a real problem. Like those two guys stand out as soon as you watch the tape. And so he's dealing with that. The other part is they don't have wide receivers that get open. So even if he's got a clean pocket, who's he throwing the ball to? It's probably covered, and that's a real issue as well. But I start to look at this defense, and I do think it's got a chance to be good still, and I think that they're extremely talented. Wink Martindale, I don't think, made the adjustments that he needed to make. And part of that is you're a coordinator for so long, especially at the highest level. You are who you are. You don't want to change, and I get that. The other part of it is college offenses do a lot of stuff that you never see in the NFL. And he was probably sitting there like, what the hell am I looking at? Like, this is not something that is even structurally sound from an offensive standpoint, and Texas does it. They got to get that figured out. And then for all the guys that they have on the D-line that I think are really great players, some of those guys are up there trying to throw their best pass rush move when Texas is running the football, and that is not good team defense. That's something you can fix pretty easily. So they've got issues. But the best thing about this is they should know what all of their issues are right now, because they were revealed, and now it's just about finding a plan to make them better.
And the last team for stock down is a team that I don't know if they can get that much better. This is one of the most painful losses we saw in recent memory, honestly, even compared to like some of the upsets, just the way that Arkansas lost this game to Oklahoma State. They nearly doubled them in yards of offense. There were so many different mistakes, so many different moments they could have won this game. I saw somebody compare it to like, this is what maybe an Arkansas booster's fever dream would be. If you really want Bobby Petrino to take over as the interim head coach, or maybe like the full-time head coach, you drop a game like this where the offense did lots of things, so many yards of offense, almost 700 yards of offense, and then you lose this game in like just hilariously terrible fashion. It definitely is not what you want for a hot seat coach in Sam Pittman. Oklahoma State really did not deserve to win this game. It was quite telling about a Big 12 contender. But yeah, it was brutal. So they're in stock down because this is just one of the worst losses that I have seen in recent memory because of how much they outplayed Oklahoma State for so much of that game. It's kind of inexplicable.
Well, Nicole, I mean, we were sitting there watching that game, and we're kind of preparing our remarks for the Arkansas win because they were in control of that football game. That was a game that they should have won. And this is also what happens when you let a team that has a player as good as Ollie Gordon hang around, right? Like, he's the one who put the game away. When you have the opportunities, you got to snuff it out. But I think that's where I kind of ask the question: Have we reached the potential of the Sam Pittman era? Is when you're in control of a football game and you let go of the rope. That's really difficult to overcome.
Yeah, and again, everyone's been waiting for this for the offseason. Like, the fact that Bobby Petrino is back at Arkansas, still mind-boggling. But everyone wondered, hey, are you hiring your replacement? Are you hiring the potential interim head coach? Like, that's where the conversation was the second Bobby Petrino got hired, and we are getting closer and closer to that. This is one of the hottest seats in the country alongside Florida with Billy Napier.